All right, good morning, everyone. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Calling the roll for the Tuesday, February 20th, 2024 Board of Control meeting. It is 11:02 a.m. We have Levine Ross serving as an alternate for Meredith Turner.
Here.
Councilmember Dale Miller.
Here.
Trevor Macular serving as an alternate for Purnell Jones Jr.
Here.
Melanie Say serving as an alternate for Mike Dever.
Here.
Catherine Gallagher serving as an alternate for Chris Ronay, County Executive.
Here.
Michael Chambers, Fiscal Officer, serving as Chairman.
Here.
Paul Porter.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, next on our agenda is the review and approval of the minutes from February 12th. I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. McAleer. All in favor to approve, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The item's approved. Moving on to public comment.
No public comment.
Let's go to our first item.
First item, table item BC 2024-101, Department of Workforce Development submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in an award recommendation to CT Strategies LLC in the amount not to exceed $88,000 for grant supportive services in connection with the 5G and broadband technology workforce grant for the period November 17, 2023 through September 30th, 2024, and submitting a contract with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, Deshaun Matthews from Department of Workforce Development. The consultant for CT Strategies under this agreement will collect and understand the requirements of the 5G and broadband workforce grant from the state. She will be conducting meetings with the Cleveland Cuyahoga Workforce Board with the purpose of identifying the challenges with the grant and also with marketing, referrals, and enrolling job seekers in trainings.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from the board on this item? Mr. McAleer, please.
Mr. Chairman, no question, but just for the record, the Inspector General provided an opinion that said the contract is allowed. So just wanted to make sure that was for the record.
Okay. Seeing no further comments, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Trevor McAleer. All in favor to approve, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Next item?
New items for review. First item, BC 2024-120, Department of Public Works recommending an award on RQ 13675 and enter into a purchase with Bridge Associates LLC DBA U.S. Flag Maker in the amount not to exceed $57,024 for the purchase and delivery of 129,600 U.S. flags for Veterans Service Commission.
Good morning, everyone. Tom Pavich, Public Works. This is our annual order of U.S.-made flags that will be, we place this order on behalf of Veteran Services. The flags will be distributed to veterans at cemeteries located throughout Cuyahoga County. We did this as a formal bid this year. We had two responses. Bridge Associates was the awarded vendor, or to be awarded vendor, at $57,000. The other vendor was Metro Flag at $74,000. I know there was a pre-question, so the prices, I think 44 cents each, they're aligned with 2001 and earlier prices. So the price has come down over the last 2 years. So,
Thank you, Tom. Are there any questions from the board on this item?
Yes, I have
Count,
one.
please.
So I noticed that the price had come down back closer to pre-COVID levels, and I'm wondering how much of that you've seen in other things that Public Works purchases, or is that kind of unique to this particular situation, and you're not seeing that very much elsewhere?
we're not seeing it in most cases. If anything, we're still seeing some, depending on the raw materials that's involved with what we're buying, the prices are still going up. There's some areas that are leveling off. You know, this one, I think, the price went up in 2022 and 23 because of labor issues that they had. Most of the vendors that bid on this are out of state. I don't think there's any Ohio companies that make U.S.-made flags. So I know down in Georgia, And I think in New Jersey, there's a lot of labor shortages, so those impacted this over the last 2 years. But as far as other raw materials, we're still seeing spikes in prices.
Okay, thank you very much for the report.
Any additional questions?
I'll move approval.
Move approval, seconded by Mr. McAleer. All in favor to approve, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2024-121, Department of Public Works, on behalf of the Medical Examiner's Office, submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in an award recommendation to Vertiv Corporation in the amount not to exceed $18,102.12 for uninterruptible power supply system maintenance, power, battery, and parts replacement and services for the automated fingerprint identification system for the crime lab, effective upon contract signatures of all parties for a period of 3 years, and submitting a contract with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, Tom Pavich, Public Works on behalf of the Medical Examiner. This is an award of recommendation to Vertiv. It's for a 3-year contract. This is for the PM, preventive maintenance and repair parts for 3 pieces of equipment they have at the Medical Examiner's Office. This is the UPS support that provides the power supply units, and if in case there's some type of power outage, the vendor will come in for 3 years, do the preventive maintenance, the cleaning, cycling out the machine, make sure all 3 units are working properly. This is, I believe, for their fingerprint division. It's being submitted as an exemption for 3 years.
Thank you, Tom. Are there any questions from the board on this item? Seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Paul Porter. All in favor to approve, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved.
Thank you.
Next item.
Next item, BC 2024-122, Fiscal Office submitting an amendment to a contract with Manatron Incorporated for the purchase of Marshall and Swift rate tables data licenses for the period January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2023, to extend the time period to December 31st, 2024, to change the terms of the end-user license agreement effective January 1st, 2024, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $173,875.63.
Good morning, Dominique Tatum, Fiscal Office. This is an amendment to the Manatron contract. This is used for the Marshall and Swift rate tables. These tables are used for property valuations.
Thank you, Dominique. Are there questions from the board on this item?
Yes, I see in response to our question that the price went up 12% from last year, which is quite a bit. Has it been going up that much almost every year, or was this kind of a singular
It's been going
case?
up between 10 and 12% every year.
And that's a rapid rate of increase. Do we have any other place where we can get this service, or are we kind of at their mercy?
Marshall and Swift are the only people that offer the table. So the tables are kind of calculated based off the price that they offer and then how many parcels that we certify.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional comments? Seeing none, then I will make the motion to approve the item. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Levine Ross. All in favor to approve, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2024-123, Department of Information Technology submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in an award recommendation to T4S Partners Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $51,067.29 for the purchase of 10 Ivanti CSM concurrent user cloud licenses for the period February 29, 2024 through December 30th, 2026, and submitting a purchase order with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, Matt Ruby, Department of Information Technology. This request is for 10 licenses for the Sharewell system, which is what we use to manage our service desk tickets, as well as we use internally within our department for various business operations. This item is being processed as an exemption as opposed to a contract amendment because Ivanti, who we do have a contract with, when we went to them and expressed the need for additional licenses, they basically said no thanks and pushed us off to a reseller, which is why this is coming through that way. However, the 10 new licenses are being co-termed with the existing licenses that we have.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Are there any questions from the board on this item? Councilman, please.
If they had said yes, would the price have been about the same, or did we have to pay more because we had to go to the reseller?
I can confirm that for you, but I would anticipate there was some sort of markup by going through a reseller, yes. As it was described to me, the order was too small that the original vendor did not have an interest in fulfilling it directly with us.
So hopefully when all the licenses expire at the same time, we'll be able to get them to do all of them for the next round. Is that correct?
That is correct. I believe there's also consideration going on with IT as to whether or not the Sharewell system is the technology to continue using in the future. So by the time this expires in 2026, we may have a different system in place.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any additional questions? Seeing none, I will make the motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Miller. All in favor to approve, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Next item?
Next item, BC 2024-124, Department of Information Technology submitting an RFP exemption which will result in an award recommendation to Advisec Technologies LLC in the amount not to exceed $32,960.10 for the purchase of 2 HPE ProLiant Gen 10 Plus servers, various accessories, and support, and submitting a purchase order with said RFP exemption.
Matt Ruby, Department of IT. I should have prefaced before the previous item, all 4 of my IT items are on our IT standards that we maintain. This particular item, 124, is for 2 pieces for hardware that are replacing 2 outdated pieces of equipment. These servers are used for backup syncing, so they pull data in when we need to make backups for our data, as well as push out if we need to restore from a previous backup. There are 2 of them. One is going to be located at our data center here in Cleveland, and one is going to be for use in Columbus at our second data center.
Okay, Matt, thank you. Questions from the board? Seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Ms. Melanie Say. All in favor to approve, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2024-125, Department of Information Technology submitting an RFP exemption which will result in award recommendation to Constant Contact in the amount not to exceed $9,609.60 for email plus subscription services to manage content, press releases, and other communications across email and social media platforms for the period February 20th, 2024 through February 19th, 2025, and submitting a purchase order with said RFP exemption.
Matt Ruby, Department of IT. Constant Contact is the existing system that we use within IT and also is used by the Department of Communications, as the item says, for pushing out communications to the public. This is our annual renewal. The system is based on the number of users, so we have a little bit of wiggle room to anticipate if there is future growth in the amount of subscribers that we have to our various newsletters. It is being processed as an exemption, like I said, because it is the existing system that we use.
Okay, Matt, thank you. Questions from the board? Seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Miller. All in favor to approve, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2024-126, Department of Information Technology submitting an RFP exemption which will result in award recommendation to SHI International Corporation in the amount not to exceed $10,737.14 for a joint cooperative purchase of 1 additional solar wind standard polling license for the period February 20th, 2024 through February 19th, 2025, and submitting a purchase order with said RFP exemption.
Matt Ruby, Department of IT. SolarWinds is the software that we use to track data and server performance. So it basically goes out there and data scrapes and brings back information that can be reviewed internally to determine performance. This request is for 1 additional license. It's being funded out of the HHS levy because it's specifically for use on the HHS state system. Because as of right now, it's sort of we don't have a lot of eyes on that system, so it'll be adding it and integrating it into our internal operations so we can track that.
Thank you, Matt. Are there questions from the board? Seeing no questions, I will make the motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor to approve, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved.
Thank you.
Next item.
Next item, BC 2024-127, Department of Human Resources submitting an RFP exemption which will result in a payment to Moore Counseling and Mediation Services Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $3,953.15 for reconciliation of December 2023 invoices for Employee Assistant Program services for services rendered during the contract period January 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2023, and submitting a purchase order with said RFP exemption.
Stephen Wood with Human Resources. This is an exemption for a PO to allow us to close out our 2022-2023 Employee Assistance Program. What occurred is that in 2021, we conducted an RFP for the Employee Assistance Program. That contract was for 2022 was awarded to Moore Counseling as the highest scoring vendor. As that contract took force and we transitioned into January 2022, an invoice for the previous contract, which was also with Moore, was erroneously paid on this contract, which resulted in, when we go to close out this contract this year, there weren't enough funds. I worked with purchasing, and they instructed me that the best option would be to just do a PO since the amount was under $4,000. To prevent this issue, the staff that made this error was no longer with HR. The staff that pay invoices were informed ahead of time on how to prevent this.
And just a quick note from like an administrative side, we did include instructions in the year-end training for departments about how to address payment of year-end invoices at the start of a new year. You know, sometimes that's done and the contract's continuing, but in cases like this where a new contract takes over, you can still have a line for invoice payment for December or November invoices that January, February, or March.
And I do want to point out that funds were paid to the correct vendor. No, the funds did not go to a different vendor. It's just an internal accounting issue.
Okay, thank you, Stephen. Are there any questions from the board on this item?
Yes.
Councilman, please.
Do we have a contract with Moore Counseling for 2024?
Yes, last year we conducted a new RFP for the Employee Assistance Program, of which Moore Counseling was awarded the new contract for the next 3 years.
Okay, thank you.
Seeing no further questions, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2024-128, Department of Human Resources submitting an RFP exemption which will result in award recommendation to One Spark Q LLC in the amount not to exceed $165,000 for staff augmentation services for the Enterprise Resource Planning System in connection with the implementation of various global human resources modules effective upon signatures of all parties through December 31st, 2024, and submitting a contract with said RFP exemption.
Stephen Witt with Human Resources again. This is a contract with OneSpark for a consultant that will assist Human Resources and IT in the implementation of various global human resource modules for the ERP system. This contract is coming across late as we were finalizing this contract and preparing it to come before the board. I did find out that they had been already using the consultant to assist on these services. If there are any questions on the specific work that the consultant is helping with, Bob Knoll from the Department of IT is here to help answer any of those questions. This contract, the previous contract with OneSpark was a contract held with IT in which some of these services were already provided. As IT went to a new contract with OneSpark, they requested that we split off so that both us and IT can maintain flexibility for amendments and changes of services and work orders and such.
Thank you, Stephen. Are there any questions for Stephen or Mr. Knoll?
Yes. Are we looking for somebody that we can hire in-house that we can perform these services?
So I do know that they had looked for a position, looked to fill this position, but in my understanding is Infor support is a very narrow field. So they're unable to find somebody that would be able to provide these services at the rates that the county would be willing to pay.
And do we expect that this contract through the end of 2024 will fulfill this need, or do we expect to have to continue this contract on an ongoing basis?
I'd have to defer to IT on that.
Bob Knoll, IT. Our plan is to not use this vendor after this year. There are several projects that are working through, performance management being one of the major ones that we're working with HR. So our goal is to not extend this at the end of the year, but I know working with Stephen and even our contract that we have with this vendor as well from IT, that we're going to evaluate toward quarter 3, quarter 4 to determine what we want to do and if there is a need from the business perspective to extend.
And would you describe the projects currently being worked on as more in the nature of correcting problems that have surfaced, or would you describe it more as creating new functionalities?
I would say it's a combination of both. So there are some things that we are looking at to improve business processes in the system that we're currently using now from the HR perspective. We're also looking out to roll out new modules, performance management, as I mentioned, being one of the major things that we're looking to implement. So it's definitely a combination of both. This specific consultant is skilled in all of the areas of HR, so we can use his knowledge and his experience to help us implement these changes in a quicker manner.
Final question. Overall, on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is poor and 10 is outstanding, how well do you think the Infor system is working in terms of serving the needs of the HR department?
From my perspective in IT, I think we're doing a pretty good job. I think we're meeting the need. We're able to track data. We're able to store that data and assist our employees, me being one of them myself. So I don't know if it's fair to give a number per se, but Stephen also works in HR, so he could also give you an answer as well. I think HR has, the modules have some areas of opportunity for us to improve. So I think that's what we're really trying to focus on at the end of last year and this year is getting that extra functionality to the employees. Like I said, myself included, performance management's a major area that we're looking through. We've done a lot of good things with the job boards and things like that as well, trying to get that information out there. So I think it'd be unfair for me to give you a value, being a user, but also being one of the administrators of the system as well. But I think we're doing a good job and we're serving our employees well.
So I'm going to take you up on your suggestion and see if Steve would like to give a response to that question. Probably he's better equipped being right in the department.
So unfortunately, I would have to say I'm not equipped to answer that question because my job duties focus more on the fiscal side of the system, not necessarily the modules that the human resources staff that deal with our employees on a day-to-day basis are interacting with.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional comments on this item? Seeing no further comments, I will make the motion to approve. Is there a second? Second by Mr. McAleer. All in favor to approve, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2024-129, Court of Common Pleas Juvenile Court Division submitting an amendment to a contract with Ohio Guidestone for diversion case management services for the period July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2024 to change the terms of insurance effective July 1st, 2023, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $40,000 effective upon signatures of all parties.
Tara Brown, Juvenile Court. This is our first amendment with Ohio Guidestone for diversion case management. This provides community supports to families and youth to divert them from the formal court process. It's 100% funded by Reclaim, and it is extremely late. If you refer to the timeline, we submitted it to them in June, and we got back all the final documents February 5th.
Okay, thank you, Tara. Are there any questions from the board on this item? Seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Ms. Levine Ross. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Next item?
Next item, BC 2024-130, Court of Common Pleas Juvenile Court Division submitting an RFP exemption which will result in award recommendation to Legacies Empowered Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $89,548 for positive youth development services for court-referred youths ages 14 to 20 with high risk for recidivism for the period July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024, and submitting a contract with said RFP exemption.
This is one of our last two grassroots contracts through Reclaim, so it's 100% funded by Reclaim. This is a contract with a new vendor. This also is extremely late. However, the length of the program for the youth is still long enough that we can refer and get some use from beginning to end. Additionally, we do have baked into these contracts that they receive training on data collection and tracking from CASE, and we want to get them scheduled before the state fiscal year is over.
Okay, thank you again. Are there any questions from the board? Seeing no questions, I will make the motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Paul Porter. All in favor to approve, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Next item?
Next item, BC 2024-131, Court of Common Pleas Juvenile Court Division submitting an RFP exemption which will result in an award recommendation to Change the Narrative LLC in the amount not to exceed $12,966.45 for positive youth development services for court-referred males ages 12 to 18 with high risk for recidivism for the period July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024, and submitting a contract with said RFP exemption.
Again, this is the last of our grassroots Reclaim contracts, and this one, again, is extremely late, but the program length, there's still enough time to get used through the program, and we would like to get them scheduled with training with CASE.
Okay, thank you again. Are there any questions from the board? Seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Levine Ross. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2024-132, Medical Examiner's Office recommending an award on RQ 13731 and enter into a purchase order with Leeds Precision Instruments Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $84,752.10 for one dual-stage ballistic comparison microscope and various accessories for the Firearms and Tool Marks Unit.
Hugh Shannon, Medical Examiner's Office. This is a purchase with ARPA funds. We are buying a new ballistics microscope for the firearms lab.
Okay, thank you, Hugh. Are there questions from the board on this item? Seeing no questions, I will make the motion to approve. Is there a second? Second by Mr. McAleer. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Next item?
Next item, BC 2024-133, Department of Public Safety and Justice Services, on behalf of the Medical Examiner's Office, recommending an award and submitting an agreement with Alcohol, Drug, Addiction, and Mental Health Services Board of Cuyahoga County in the amount not to exceed $270,938.82 for Cuyahoga County Overdose Fatality Review Counteractive Initiative Project in connection with the FY 2023 Comprehensive Opioid Stimulant and Substance Use Site-Based Grant Program for the period October 1st, 2023 through September 30th, 2026.
Hugh Shannon, Medical Examiner's Office again. So we were awarded this grant. Basically, the overdose fatality review is exactly what it sounds like. We have a number of folks who are in the room from law enforcement, from the medical community, et cetera. We review overdose cases. CASE works with us to track the data, but Adams Board does a lot of the heavy lifting as far as getting information about like what previous treatments that the decedents had, things like that, and they administer a lot of the program for the community. So that's what this agreement is for. They're basically a sub from our award.
Thank you, Hugh. Are there any questions from the board on this item?
Yes.
Councilman?
Do we have an estimate on the number of overdose fatalities in Cuyahoga County for 2023?
We're still tallying. We're still waiting for toxicology from decedents from late in the year, but we're somewhere between 650 and 700.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Miller. All in favor to approve, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2024-134, Department of Public Safety and Justice Services recommending an award and submitting a contract with Cleveland Rape Crisis Center in the amount not to exceed $72,745.50 for juvenile diversion services for at-risk minority youth for the Positive Youth Development Preventing Delinquency through Gender-Specific Programming in connection with the 2023 Title II Formula Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Grant for the period October 1st, 2023 through March 31st, 2025.
Good morning, Mary Beth Vaughn from Public Safety, and this is the first of 3 awards that are going to be made against this grant this morning. The Cleveland Rape Crisis is actually a continuing program with us, and they offer 2 gender-specific programs, one focusing for young ladies and one for young men.
Thank you, Mary Beth. Are there any questions from the board on this item? Seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Ms. Melanie Say. All in favor to approve, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2024-135, Department of Public Safety and Justice Services recommending an award and submitting a contract with Golden Ciphers Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $71,416 for mentoring, life skills, and training services for the Strategic Environmental and Social Assessment CISA Rites of Passage Program in connection with the 2023 Title II Formula Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Grant for the period October 1st, 2023 through March 31st, 2025.
Thank you. This one, like Cleveland Rape Crisis, is also a continuing grant, a subrecipient grant with Golden Ciphers. Their program develops self-awareness, self-enlightenment to foster resiliency and personal accountability.
Thank you, Mary Beth. Are there questions from the board on this item? Seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Miller. All in favor to approve, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2024-136, Department of Public Safety and Justice Services recommending an award and submitting an agreement with City of Shaker Heights in the amount not to exceed $45,838.50 for advancing youth through restorative justice program in connection with the 2023 Title II Formula Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Grant for the period October 1st, 2023 through March 31st, 2025.
Good morning. This one is actually a new provider and a new program that we'll be funding. The purpose of this program is to divert nonviolent offenders ages 17 or under who are arrested in Shaker Heights into a mentorship program. The initiative is a collaboration between the police officers with experience working with and supervising youth, as well as a mental health practitioner and the youth's parents or guardians.
Thank you again, Mary Beth. Are there questions from the board? Mr. McAleer, please.
Good morning, Mary Beth. How was Shaker Heights selected to be, I guess, what would you call a pilot, or how would you, how were they picked?
So what our process is that when we receive notice that we're receiving the money from the state, we issue a notice of funding opportunity. It's posted on our website. We directly send it out to over 100, more than 90 nonprofit contacts, as well as to all of the mayors in the county and all of the police chiefs. Shaker Heights and Lyndhurst were the 2 that actually submitted programs. And the Lyndhurst program actually wasn't eligible for the grant funding, and the Shaker Heights one just scored high enough from the allocation committee that they decided it was a project they were interested in funding this cycle.
They have to provide matching grant? Or
There is no
dollars?
match for this program now.
Thank you.
Are there any additional questions? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item's approved. Next
Thank you.
item.
Next item, BC 2024-137, Department of Health and Human Services, Cuyahoga Job and Family Services, submitting an amendment to a contract with U.S. Together Incorporated for interpretation and translation services for various county agencies for the period March 1st, 2021 through February 29, 2024, to extend the time period to February 28, 2025, to change the terms of the Exhibit 2 budget effective March 1st, 2024, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $476,804.14.
Good morning, Marcos Cortez with Health and Human Services. Us Together provides interpretation and translation services for limited English proficient individuals and families served by Cuyahoga County Health and Human Services and other county agencies. Interpretation will be available in more than 180 languages for regularly scheduled customers, unscheduled walk-ins, and for emergency situations. This is our last option year. We will be issuing an RFP for these services in probably the third quarter of this year.
Thank you, Marcos. Are there any questions from the board? Seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next, item BC 2024-138, Department of Health and Human Services, Community Initiatives Division, Office of Homeless Services, submitting an amendment to a contract with BitFocus Incorporated for implementation, configuration, migration, operation, maintenance, analysis, cleanup, and custom development of system data of the Homeless Management Information System and support for planning and utilizing an outreach module for the period March 10, 2020 through December 31st, 2024, to change the terms of Article 3, Section 3.2 by replacing invoice and payment notices effective January 1st, 2024, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $81,800.
Good morning again, Marcos Cortez with Health and Human Services on behalf of the Office of Homeless Services. Again, BitFocus provides the system administration for Clarity, the software product used to operate a homeless management information system, HMIS, as required by HUD for all homeless continuums of care. Continuums are required to have an HMIS with the capacity to collect unduplicated counts of people experiencing homelessness. HMIS systems enable communities to collect information from projects serving homeless families and individuals to use as part of their needs analysis and to establish funding priorities.
Okay, thank you, Marcos. Are there questions from the board on this item? Seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second by Mr. McAleer. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2024-139, Department of Health and Human Services, Community Initiatives Division, Office of Homeless Services, submitting an amendment to a contract with Fairhill Partners for emergency shelter and supportive services for seniors in connection with the Continuum of Care program for the period September 1st, 2022 through August 31st, 2023, to extend the time period to August 31st, 2024, to amend the terms of Attachment 2 budget effective September 1st, 2023, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $22,500.
Marcos Cortez again. Fairhill Partner provides emergency shelter and supportive services for persons over 60 who experience a first-time homeless episode because of a code violation, elder abuse, eviction, or for some other reason. Fairhill Partners provide safe, trauma-informed shelter and assistance in connecting to senior housing and the aging network resources.
Thank you, Marcos. Are there questions from the board on this item? Seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Levine Ross. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved.
Thank you.
Moving on to exemptions.
Exemption BC 2024-140, amending to read the amount. Department of Public Works recommending an alternative procurement process which will result in a payment to Oriana House Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $102,500 in connection with financing the installation of a new boiler at the McDonald Community-Based Correctional Facility located at 3540 Croton Avenue, Cleveland, and submitting a purchase order with said alternative procurement request.
Matt, excuse me, Matt Ruby, Department of Public Works. So the county has received state grant money through the state capital bill, through the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections. I believe that's the name. The money we are basically passed through. It is specifically for capital improvements to be done at the community-based correctional facility right outside of downtown. The alternative procurement is being requested. Oriana House, who is the operator of that facility by contract with the county, that contract is not held by Public Works, has got quotes to do the work. Funding came in specifically because they had boiler needs in the facility. They already lost one. The second one was about to go down as well. So that work has since been completed. So the alternative procurement is for us to pass through that money to Oriana House. The last-minute amendment to the amount. I apologize for that. I just learned while we've been sitting here that what I was led to believe was the $95,000 payment for the work was actually just the first payment, and that the contract for the vendor that Oriana is using is in fact $102,500.
Thank you, Matt. Are there any questions from the board on this item?
I didn't hear the very last sentence on that. You said that the first part of the contract was for $95,000, and then what did you say?
So what I said was I was led to believe by Oriana House that $95,000 was the amount of the contract, the total amount of the contract. I just discovered is in fact $102,500, and that the $95,000 that was communicated to me by Oriana was just the first payment to fulfill the boiler work.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any additional questions on this item? Seeing no further questions, I will make a motion to approve as amended for the price of $102,500. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The item is approved.
As amended. Consent agenda items are BC 2024-141 through BC 2024-145. Correcting to read BC 2024-142, item B, to change the name from Robert Abrams to Robert Abrams DBA Abrams Appraisal.
Okay. And that was 142? Yeah? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, board members, if there's any questions, feel free. Can we bring up that last item while we're waiting for a quick second here? I think there's a typo in the name of it. So we need to, let's fix it. The MCDO.
What is that, MC?
McDonald.
That's what I thought, but the internet and them had McDowell.
So let's correct the record. So we
Correct the
already,
record.
we're going to correct it again. We're going to approve 2024-140 as amended for the price of 102.5 and the name spelling. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The item is approved as amended. Okay. So now we're back to the board item, the consent agenda. Are there any questions on that, council?
Move approval on the consent agenda.
We have moved for approval as amended for the name change. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Melanie Say. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved as amended. Moving on, other business?
No other business?
Any public comment?
No public comment?
I will make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor to adjourn, say aye. Aye. Opposed? We